Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Just clearing up some points that when I was looking at the videos which I spotted myself, nobody's commented on it. One, I did actually video, or I thought I was videoing this, you know, when I put the rollers in and you basically slide that in when these are in grease and then slide the pin through and then tighten up the nut at the back then bring the two washers in. That's what holds this in, so it sits on bearings which are needle rollers and a caged roller bearing on the inside of the cush drive itself, and it should rotate beautifully and freely like that one does. There's some nice weight to that. Right, and the second one was when I put the rear brake in. Let me just shift that around again and show you. When I put this lever in, I forgot about the spring, because how the hell is it going to turn back? So it goes that way, so that goes against the bottom of the engine casing, and that goes against the lever, so you're basically doing that when you're pulling on the back brake. So I just need to slide that out the way and stick the lever back on slightly like so, and then bring that through slightly. I'll try and get this around so you can see what I'm doing. And then what we need to do is put our brake spring on. That's why when I was saying about why the bar's so long, well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? That goes through like that. Then you can put your split pin. I've changed it for another new one. That's the one that I pulled out. So we'll stick that back in on the top. Which is there. So the split pin or cotter pin's back in again, and then we just need to separate it around again like so and up out the way. I've done that with my fingers. It's best to probably use a pair of pliers just to bend that up and around and pull that one down so it doesn't get caught on the engine, and that one up. And then all we got to do with the spring is just put the spring around, the screwdriver underneath the lever, bring our lever up, spring down. You can actually do it with your fingers anyway, and that's in place now. See how that brings it back? So you've got some tension in the shoes. The actual shoes themselves have got spring loaded in them, so it's under pressure all the time. Yeah. Right, I'm glad I cleared up that bit. And this came yesterday, the new inner rear hub seal. As I say before, I did buy the whole set from BGM in Germany, and they decided to send me the external oil seal, which is for earlier engines, not the later one like I've got. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn the engine around on its side. Like so. And then, I don't know, you can not probably see very clearly in there. I can't really, I can lower it a bit. Where you can see that light. Excuse me. That's where the oil seal's going to go. And it's sealing against the rear hub that way, so that it goes in, not that way. So it actually goes in solid like so, and then all we got to do then is get our tool in there and hammer it home. Again, I've never done this with a you know, with this stand as such. So excuse me while I do it, but we're not going to go too mad on the hammer. I'm just going to use a panel beating hammer basically, so it's not actually in that straight at the moment. That's a bit better than it was. It's still not level. I'm just gonna tap it a little bit to level it up. So I want to, if possible, drive it in square. That's getting there. As I say, you could do it this way with just putting bit by bit, but I'm trying to get it to going in one. I'm just going to cut away while I pick up a few bits. Right, I've knocked the oil seal in. That's in there and it's level. Putting in bits again. Clear a few tools out of the way. And then what we can do now is push our lathe shaft in. Wherever I've done that there. I'm just going to give this a clean again. Again, this shouldn't need a lot of pushing in. Sometimes they can go in with your hands like this one, and at other times they're a bit tight, so pull. I'm just giving the lathe shaft and cruciform basically a nice clean. I can push them in. There you go. And that's home. I'm going to start with our gearbox now. Which is number one. Do you remember it's got the cutouts in it? They like help the cruciform to slide in. I'm just giving that gear a final clear rub down. If you ever want to clean anything fast, I recommend using brake cleaner. It gets in there, it gets rid of all the oil out of places. Right, so that should mesh nice in there. Yeah, see that? Meshing in nice, and we've got a gap when these pull slightly together. When I put the side on, you've still got some gap, so when they squish up you're going to get oil in between. Third gear now. Excuse me. It smells like polish has gone on this rag, and it's getting up my nose. Brass polish. So again, I'm going to clean all this gear up. And you'll notice on the third gear that the actual centre boss, which is being driven when it's in gear, is in the middle. This is why I keep saying to people, make sure you've got no cuts and, you know, damage on here, because if it's shimmed up wrong, you're not catching fully. You might be too far in that way if you push the gearbox back, and that way if you push it forward. It's hard to decipher what the workshop manual actually does say, but I think if you've got a lot of play in your gearbox, I would shim it both sides, the back side and the front side. And as we know, this is 0.25, which is bang in the middle of a built engine's specification. They recommend between 0.4 and 40, so 0.40 when the engine is built, and up to 0.50 when it's run. So anything over 0.50, excuse me, and dinner's coming back to kill me. So anything over 0.50, you need to shim the gearbox up. You might even have worn out gears, which is quite a possibility. I've noticed that. No, I thought that was a bit of wire, it's just the way the lights caught it. So I'm just going to clean up the rest of the gears as well. Again, making sure there's nothing in between the cogs. And number one. I do believe these colours to signify you built the gearbox when it was built by Piaggio all them years ago. But if we can just talk about the first gear, how on the edge there it's chamfered slightly, so it's got like a kick away. Where all the other gears are all dead square, so I don't know why they've done that, to be honest with you. It's just something I've noticed. Right. So the high spot should go towards you. See how that's level? If I turn it around, see the gears are not level, so you know you got it in wrong. That's the simplest way of doing the gearbox. If you don't know which way round you took it apart, they should be level, which they are. And again, what we're looking for between the first and second is we've got to have a gap, so that when it's in neutral, the cruciform won't engage in both gears. So again, you've got a raised part towards you, and you notice the gears are level again. And then obviously you can't put that round the wrong way anyway, but that's in. And what we need now is our washer. So our shim, like so. And again, like with all circlips, you're looking to get the circlip to actually go over in the middle. It doesn't matter when you start, but well, in fact, let's put it in that way and it might work around a bit easier. Screwdriver. If you've got a good set of pliers, it goes on a lot easier than I'm doing it. But there's nothing to stop you doing it the way I'm doing it. Even the great Ed China's, when he hasn't got the right tool, he's not averse to doing it this way. So there we go. And then I'm not up there, you're just spreading it enough. And we've only got that part to put on, and then all we'll do is just bring that around. You can knock it around, or use a pair of pliers which I've got over there. I'm just going to knock it around, I think. Oh, holding on to there. In fact, that's it. And I'll stick that right in the middle. So as you can see, the circlip's in the middle. We've got virtually no play on that gearbox. They're all going in and out. So fourth, spin it around, third, second, or is that first? No, that's nearly neutral, so somewhere in between there is neutral. That's it, it's just slightly dragging, but you get the notion there. That's neutral. And what I would do is I would stick this into fourth gear while you're putting the two sides of the engines together. Right, so if we take off these, all we got to do then is prepare the Kickstart return spring, and we've got to put our Kickstart cog on here, seal up the sides of the engine, and we're ready to start sticking our casing back on. So there's our 4. Is that 10? I'm just trying to get everything. That's the 11. So that's fine. Yeah. So again, give all that a nice wipe. Make sure this is clean and dry all the way around, because we're relying on, especially here, for as good a seal as possible. The torque settings for these, if you've got a torque wrench and you want to set them up, is about £13, 12 to £13. As you know, I like to do things tight and then a quarter or an eighth of a turn. Right, so we've got our Kickstart star or shaft engagement star. I'm just giving that a clean again. It'll be the cleanest one in Christendom, but whatever. Stick that on. So that would be us kickstarting our bike. Right. The only other thing to prepare is the spring. If we look on the engine side casing, see where that cap goes in there, that spring goes around there, and it's best to hold that in with some grease level. And what that does then is it goes over the Kickstart star and keeps it under pressure basically. So we're not going to do that yet because I've got to put the gasket on. So again, never reuse a gasket, they're cheap enough. Pointless wasting your money trying to seal stuff to take it apart again. So right, we've got a brand new seal, engine side seal here, out straight out of the packet, and if you look at it that way, it should fit over perfectly over all your nuts, or your bolts I should say. And what we're going to use on this engine is what I started using now, which is the Loctite. I'm just trying to see what it's flange seal, and I can't see what the number is on it without going too mad on it, but suffice to say I've been using this on all my engines without any leaks anywhere, so I highly recommend it. If I can get it cleaned up, I will put a note in what it is basically. So what we do is we take this off, and what I like to do is put it on the casing itself. So I'm just going to take the star out of the way, undo it, and put some on the casing. Put a good dollop on, it ain't going to do no damage, and just make sure you go all the way around. And we can wipe this off after. A bit too much there for that bit. And what it also does as well is it holds the gasket in place. while you're putting on the engine parts. Lovely. Just put the lid back on that while I clean my hands a bit. Right, so I'm just wiping it off my hands as best I can. It's a sod to get off. It really is. I know what it is. When I said it was cleaner, it's terps. So what we can do there is just run our finger inside and take any excess off, like I'm just doing there. They're in line, and I need to get some off of there. Right, put our star on there, Kickstart, and now we're on to the opposite side of the engine. So again, what I'm just going to do here, I'm just going to go all the way around the edge and seal it up. Make sure I give it a wipe again before I do that. Make sure there's no oil on it, and then we'll be ready when I stick the spring with some grease in place to stick this engine side to side back together again. So I'll just release that again. I'm trying to sort of show you what I'm doing without going too mad on it. So let's take that lid off again, press it again, and just go around the edges again. This is a little bit easier because it hasn't got the studs in it. This is the only hard part around the Kickstart. Just rotate that around. And again, when we've done this, just give the inside a wipe. There will be some that squashes inside, but if you can get most of it out, then fair play to you. It's very tar-like, this is, but it does the job. Right, just go around that again. Not actually sure how long the working time for this is, but it must go off. I should have read the instructions on the box I chucked away, but it was recommended to me, so I bought some to try, and to be honest with you, I've done the last 4 engines with it and it's been as good as gold. Just around here now, and on the top. It right the way to the edge around here. And that's done. Right, so again, I suppose I better put a bit round there. Never going to leak from there, but we just get our finger and just go on the inside again and take any residue out. Like so. Right, put the lid on that. Try and give my hands a clean again before putting some grease on the return spring. You can't put the spring up here. You can't put the spring on there before you put the engine cases together, because it will get in the way of the side casing and the kickstart. So we put some grease. And some in the cap. Sorry. And put our spring around there. Right. So that's what the other side of the engine looks like. You see the spring captured with the grease, holding it in place. So all we do now is offer this side up. Like so, and we have to kick the kickstart down to make it clear these two parts. And then what we can do is just give it a slight tap to marry it together. Wooden handle on a hammer will do. Again, I'm used to pushing down on the workshop manual, workshop bench. She's going. Right, I just want to pull it closer to me. See, because I've brought the kickstart shaft down, how that's gone on. It's not tight yet, but it's gone in place. And the kickstart is turning over everything and returning. Right, so what I recommend you do first of all is just to put these on loosely. 1, 2. Probably have to pull you back a bit and up. And again, got the writing towards you. Put that grease out the way. That's a 12. Once you put a couple of nuts on, that ain't going nowhere. And again, writing towards you. Flat washer. Wrong way round. Right in towards you. one don't seem to want to go on very nice and straight, so I'm going to see if it'll go on that one. If not, I'll replace it. Yeah, it's gone on that one, okay. And then I'm looking for my 11mm as the, that's it. There we go. Might as well just use the screwdriver attachment for a minute and just loosely tighten these up, finger tight, crisscross. Now we're ready for our stud, so that should kick over, which it's doing nice. Kickstart's coming back lovely. I'm just making sure before I do anything that the cruciform is turning around, sorry, the push drive is turning around, which it is. That's it there. Perfect. Then we need to get our studs out. This is why it's always worth putting them back together again like that, because it's just made it so much easier to just pull them out, ready to go back together again. And bear in mind, we haven't pinched anything up yet. Back in my ice cream tub. Now we know this one is the cable, the one that holds the cable in, so I can give that a clean. When I say cables, I mean the gear selector. So I'll just undo that one, and this one doesn't have a washer because the actual holder acts as the washer, so that one is that one. So I'll stick that in by finger, feel even. Right, that's through, and there we are, through. So that goes like that when it's tightened. And we've got our locking washer. And again, I'm just reusing the old nuts here because there's no reason why not to. And if you remember, this gets in the way, so just tighten that up loosely. Leave that in place, slightly down. And again, just do this finger tight, like that. Then we can put one at the back in. And again, I'm just giving these a wipe prior to putting them back in again. If you remember, these are original Piaggio studs. And again, in there, put it in the right way, it might help. They've got a half moon shape on them. Right. So that goes against the frame of the engine casing. So it will just slide in, unlike what I just did there. There you go, and that's through. And then we've got our washers, flat washer in this case, because we haven't got anything that we're holding in place. So flat washer, spring washer, and our nut. And again, like I say, just finger tight. Don't bother tightening anything up at the moment. Right, so it's finger tight. they're finger tight. So what I normally do now is I put these two on. So again, I'm just going to clean up the stud. There are different lengths of studs. I'll have to work around the camera here, sorry. So I'm sticking that in that way round, and then we can put our flat washer on. Hope I'm not boring people with this, but it is a bit tedious, but there is a logic way to do it, and or there is a reason, in my opinion, for doing it the way I do it. What I'm trying to do is make the casing sit nice and level as you tighten it up, so you're not pinching bits and warping it. So again, do that one finger tight, like so, and then we're going to do the bottom one. So I'll take another short stud. You've got basically two long studs. There's one at the back, they're basically sitting at level. So 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, they're the long ones, and there are two different lengths of stud. And they've changed that as they've changed the casings over the years. They've changed the lengths of the studs where they go. So this is not, you know, a guideline to say to you need X, Y, Z studs. So again, we're just putting our flat washer on. And again, I could do without the camera being there, but you won't see what I'm doing if I move it. There, and then we'll put our nut on. And again, finger tight. There we go. What I do next is this one at the back, so you're triangulating around this weak spot here. When I say weak spot, it's a weak sealing spot for the oil. I've never had it happen to myself, but you know, you do hear these horror stories where the oil's in the mixture, and just for the sake of, like I say, taking your time doing this job correctly, and again, putting it in the right way gives you a lot more thread to work with. Like flat one, spring washer, and a nut, which I can see already which way round that goes. And again, just finger tighten this. Where we're going from now is down here below the kickstart. It's another short one. So again, from the opposite side, stick it through. That's it, half moon. Flat washer, spring washer, and a nut. And then hand tight again. And then I'm going to put the long one on this side, which we have to move our kickstart, our rear brake out the way. And then we'll go and talk about the last one, which is the weird one. So all of these studs go in this way towards you from the opposite side of the engine. That's in. Again, flat washer, spring washer, and a nut. way round. Just manually tighten that again. And then we got the weirdest one out of the lot. This one down here goes that way through. All the other studs come towards you apart from this one. And the very bottom one goes that way in. And then you're sort of working blind. And then depending on how you want to work is how you torque these up. Like I say, I don't torque them up, I do them by hand, and then an 8 for a quarter of a turn. Right, so now we need our extension and our socket. I've got a long one out for this somewhere. There it is. The only reason why I'm using a long one, it just gets past here. So we are a tad low now, aren't we? So that's probably more like it where you need to be, like that. Right, so I'm going to do them zigzag, bump, 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 always in an X pattern. And I'm going to end up doing that one last. So start on these ones, do them as tight as you can, and then leave it. And again, you can see I'm not using a big socket set on this. You've probably noticed as well, I haven't done the crank yet. I've done all the casing apart from the crank side. So we'll stick that one in on there. And then that one. And then I'm going, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're all done up apart from about an 1/8 of a turn now. So just check out gears move, which they do. Kickstart's moving fine. This is sealed perfectly just on the edge of the shoulder of the crankshaft. That's perfect, and I guarantee if we turn that around we've got an equal space in both sides. Very happy with that. Right, the only other thing to do now is just to give them a little bit of a pinch up. And let me see if I've got my smaller extension to do that. Yeah. Right, so I'm going to go about an 1/8 of a turn. That's it. That's it. That's it. A bit more than that. And then that one. Right. These. And that one. And then that one. This one. This one. This one. This one. And then that one. And that is our engine casing done. What we can do now is get a razor blade and just clean up anywhere you can see a gasket, and if you can actually see that on the camera, you can see both sides of that gasket. It's got nice covering of the flange sealant, Loctite flange sealant there, so you can actually just wipe that away or leave it if you're not bothered with it. It's not going to do any damage to your engine. I just think it looks nicer if it's all clean and wiped down again. You can go as mad as you want cleaning this up, but you know, I'm quite happy with that. That's clean enough for me. We've got our two sides of the engine together. I don't know how long that's taken me, but not very long, has it? You know, to get to this stage where, if we can change gear, there you go. That's in neutral. Perfect. What we can do now, if we wanted to, is just fill our gearbox up with oil. I always do it on the scooter, but you can put 300 ml in now and kick the engine over a few times, get the oil in there. The next job we'll be doing is putting the clutch back on. And tightening that up, putting the clutch cover back on. So once again we're on the wrong side of the engine. So we'll spin that around. Right, the next one will be the clutch and the clutch cover, which is not a big deal. I'm going to be changing the lock washer that goes on here and the woodruff key, so I need to turn the crankshaft around so the woodruff key is on top there, and we want the engine as level as possible. So right, thanks for watching this video, and I hope you like and subscribe. See lots more, there's lots more coming up. So the next video I'm going to do will be the clutch. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.